So I think we can go ahead with our session, start it, and we'll let the participants join in between. So actually, it is very unfortunate for us today that the moderator we planned for is Valerie Agarwal, who is manager. So she is residing in Visakhapatnam. So she is having like heavy thunderstorm in that area, and so due to which she's having this network fluctuation. So she's trying to join in. So meanwhile, I would like to take it over from here. Starting with the welcoming, we have been firstly, I welcome each and every one of us who has joined us for this very important session, which we have planned today on the topic youth engagement and participation for COVID-19 response. We have been joined by an eminent set of panel today, starting with Mr. Anil Parmar, who is the Vice President, Community Investment from United Way, Mumbai. Anil sir has joined United Way Mumbai in 2008 and is currently working as Vice President Community Investment. He is in charge of multi-stakeholder initiatives for health, education and livelihood issues affecting vulnerable and underserved communities. He is also a visiting faculty at Nasim Munji Institute of Management Studies, NMIMS, Mumbai on disaster management. Anil has a wide-ranging experience in program designing, managing, monitoring, and evaluation, impact assessment, and reporting. He has worked extensively with the government in public-private partnership for community impact project. Anil has also penned his interest in research papers on various community health and education issues. So I heartily welcome Anil Parmar to our panel discussion. Next up, yes, sir. So next up, we are being joined by Ms. Jyoti Ambadas Mohite, who was the state director, NYKS, Maharashtra. She has done masters in social work from Matru Seva Sangh College of Social Work, Nagpur. She has taught social work at Social Work College, Amravati, for 2 years, and then she has been the field officer of United Way of Vadodara during the term 1985-87, and joined thereafter she joined as the Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, GOI, as a district youth coordinator in 1988. She retired as a state director from the NYKS in April 2020. So I heartily welcome Ms. Jyoti as well to the session. We are esteemed by the presence of Andrew Nelson Savian, who is from the Indian Red Cross Society, Meghalaya. So Andrew sir is basically currently serving as the General Secretary, Indian Red Cross Society, Meghalaya State Branch, Shillong. Previously, he has been the Assistant Registrar, Mahatma Gandhi University, Meghalaya. He has been the Manager Operations, DDU GKY Meghalaya Project, and also been the Senior Supervisor, Martin Luther Christian University, Meghalaya. I welcome you, Andrew sir. And last but not the least, we are really glad to have Mr. Bhupendra Mishra, who is the founder of the Resilient Foundation. Bhupendra is a grassroots worker and disaster management professional. He is actively contributing to the industry for the past 10 years. Bhupendra has founded the non-profit organization, the Resilient Foundation, which is working on building resilient communities through prevention and preparedness measures. He has received Indira Gandhi NSS National Award from the President of India. He has also worked in the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation as a consultant and worked as a Gandhi Fellow. He has the DRR in an important area for where he sees himself contributing for the next 30 to 40 years. So I welcome Bhupendra sir as well. So this was the welcoming of all the panelists who have joined us for the session. I would like to quickly give an background for the session we have planned today. As I said, the topic, it is the youth engagement and participation for COVID-19 response. If you talk about the youth of the country, they have played a significant role in the response and management of COVID-19, especially in the second wave. From getting groceries for the elders and organizing support campaigns on social media, to bringing the frontline responders for COVID-19 pandemic as the health workers, activists, innovators, and community workers. And also we can see that they have risen to any challenges, helped build resilience in the communities, and driven social change during the pandemic. engaging them with the response further and ensuring that they are heard, empowered, and given the chance to lead will further strengthen the collective response capacity of the country. While the COVID-19 response will need to address the priorities and needs of the adolescents and youths, they should also not only be considered as an affected population, but also as highly effective partners in the COVID-19 response. So with this, through this panel discussion, we would like to focus on how the engagement and participation of youths be boosted, and especially for this COVID-19 response. And if you talk about the panel design which we have done for the day, it is like we would be going in back and forth, not in a single monotonous way. We'll be going in a proper panel discussion way, that is back and forth with one question to one and to the other. And also, and just in case at any point any panelists want to pitch in or compliment to the other panelists, they are like they have the full freedom to do that. And with this, I would like to, without wasting much time, I would like to go with our first speaker for the day, Anil Parmar sir. Sir, I would like to know, to set up the stage, I would like to know from you, like, why is it so important to ensure engagement, leadership, and accountability of youth for COVID-19 response? Over to you, sir.
Sure. I think why is something that every one of us is aware of, the kind of power that youth brings to any social cause or any kind of crisis also. I think it's very well evidently documented as well. And we all are aware of the kind of power they bring to this kind of crisis specifically. I just wanted to highlight one point on this is, we think of youth as future leaders. I'm saying, why not think of them as leaders now? And that's where we need to engage them as leaders. We talked about youth being the partners in the fight against COVID-19. And I would also want to say they are also the leaders in the fight against COVID-19, because decision making is something that needs to be allocated to them as well. They are on the ground doing a lot of things that you mentioned correctly. May it be distribution of ration kits, may it be helping frontline workers on the ground, may it be as something as simple as crowd management at vaccination centers. You come to Mumbai, you will realize a lot of youth are now working as crowd managers at the vaccination centers to ensure that COVID appropriate behavior is being maintained. And these are small little acts that are going a long way to prevent any infection happening at the vaccination centers itself. And why am I saying this is because this shows the kind of power and the kind of change that they can bring on the ground. The other piece is the agility and the adaptability that youth have. May it be technological, may it be adapting or being agile on the ground, going and taking care of any crisis that would have happened in a nearby community. That comes very easily to them. It's like they take it like duck taking to a water. And that's why youth can be agile, they can be rapid in their response. And it's important that we look at them as both as partners and as leaders in the fight as well.
Yes, sir. You have very well mentioned that for setting up the stage, you have already given like a moral for the day. That is, youth should be they should be the leaders of now. That is the present, not just considering them as for the future. So with this, I would like to go to our next speaker for the day, our very own Jyoti ma'am. So Jyoti ma'am, I would like to ask you one thing that we have been seeing that women and men both have played a very important role in this thing, mitigating the risk. So how can we boost the roles played by young women and men, particularly in mitigating the risk, disaster risk, and reaching out to their communities during disasters, conflicts, or other emergencies? And how can the government partner with adolescents and youth to take actions within their communities? Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you're mute. You're on mute. Ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Suljo. Quite a few questions put together. Okay. Before I come to these questions, I would just like to give us a brief background of what happened. In fact, I was involved in this COVID mitigation movement for a very short period, just 2 months before I retired, 2.5 months before I retired. But during this period, my experiences was totally very enriching. like, while we were as an office, as NYKs, while we were training our people for training our staff in COVID preparedness, back in the field, under the guidance of our volunteers, our youth had started working, and they were working with they had already contacted the local bodies, they had already contacted the local administration along with our volunteers, and finally they were the most sought out by the sarpanch, the anganwadi sevikas, the gram sevaks, and the AWA, the ANMs. They were already involved in various activities. They were making, along with AWS and ANMs, they were making house visits. They were spreading awareness about masks. I'm talking about the first phase in the month of March and April. They were working with the police in the field for sealing the borders. They were maintaining social distancing at public places, like Mr. Parmar said. They were helping Gram Panchayat in maintaining records of migrant laborers who were returning home, and also ensuring that they were being quarantined. They were distributing ration. They were helping the SDMs. And on their own, they were purchasing face masks in bulk and distributing the same. So all this was done on their own. If I have time, could I just give you one or two examples if I have time? Okay. In one village, the boys conducted a survey, and they realized that almost 20, 30 families of different wards, especially the tribal wards, were missing. In fact, they had gone to Nasik from Thane as migrant labor. They rang up all offices possible. They arranged for transportation, and they got their people back home. Similarly, in Palghar, they saw around 20, 30 men walking down, and middle of the night, around midnight, these people were making place to rest besides the main road. This youth went up to them, asked them, inquired, and these were migrant labor from Varanasi who were brought to Nala Sopara and abandoned by the contractor. And they had decided to walk down to Varanasi from Nala Sopara to reach home, because there was no other mode of transport. It was again our youth club who forced them to stay behind, arranged for their food for 3 to 4 days till the local administration took over, and also saw to it that they returned home safe and sound. So there are so many such examples. I'm giving you these examples. Yes, we could impart, looking at all this work, we thought it was necessary to empower our youth further, to actually give them the right information. And for this, we got this I got training, and we also contacted UNICEF, and we contacted COVID Academy through UNICEF. We trained our youth on knowing the coronavirus better, how to protect themselves from coronavirus, skills to work with people to mitigate COVID, how to manage COVID-19 affected people, and then how to fight the stigma attached to COVID-19 then. These trainings were imparted, and uh, I'm giving you all these examples only because I wanted to tell you all that, as Mr. Parmar said, volunteerism is very much alive. Youth volunteerism, men and women, is very much alive in both urban and rural communities. Today, we have almost 57,715 youth COVID warriors registered to date, registered with NYKS, Maharashtra, and Goa. And in each district, I think they are reaching out to 300 villages. We have 11,722 youth clubs working or wanting to work in the field of COVID-19. So when volunteerism is alive, what do we do to bond them together and to boost this volunteerism? I think the first thing that we should do is recognize and acknowledge youth volunteerism. Then channelize them into groups, into CBOs, and equip them for disaster preparedness. Reward and appreciate their efforts and their contribution. If there are loose groups or there are at random people, who are volunteering, then structure them into small CBOs so that they have a visibility. Give them a conducive atmosphere to grow and work. As Mr. Parmar said, make them partners in at micro level, involve them from planning to um, to the actual field work, involve them right from planning up to implementation of the programs in all this work. For that, train them and equip them so that their intervention will be more scientific and more methodical. They can contribute more constructively. Now, this is disaster preparedness, but we also have to continue this engagement with them after, to deal with post-COVID problems, as well as when times return to normalcy, so that this volunteerism doesn't die. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing us with your experience with the NYKs, and also for giving us the idea of how NYKs work and how we can channelize the youths in our country to into subgroups and train them, and the importance of appreciating their efforts. And with this, I think Mr. Andrew sir has dropped out due to some technical issues. Meanwhile, my team is getting in touch with them. I would like to put across my question to Mr. Bhupendra Mishra. Sir, I would like to ask you, we know that the relationship between the youth and CSOs is entirely reciprocal. Without young people, society would be greatly impoverished by a lack of their specific perspective, as ma'am was just now mentioning, Jyoti ma'am was mentioning, and also that to develop an NGO CSO would be severely hampered. But on the other hand, we also see that the youth NGOs and the NGOs working for youths often find it challenging or difficult to identify resources for supporting their continued work. How can we tackle this issue? And also, we know that your organization specifically is run by a lot of youths, you yourself being one. So how can you share your experience in this? Over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So the dimension of youth engagement has been already discussed by Anil sir and Jyoti ma'am. When it comes to running an NGO, youth-led or for the youth, there are various aspects of looking at it. One is obviously implementing your solution. One is compliances. Otherwise, there are various, and I will discuss one by one. Whenever I had a discussion with youth who wanted to start their organization or already running an organization, I often see they are involved in too much work at once. Like at Resilient Foundation, we are focusing on disaster management only. And there also we are focusing on prevention preparedness. But outside, I often see youths are working on sanitation, menstrual hygiene, mental health at once, and at their so we need to understand, we need to have a clear-cut focus, specific approach towards the problem. Second aspect of it, looking to compliances. We know that government has made various strict compliances for the NGOs, like ATGs, 12AB, and then CSR1 certificate, and often youths are not aware about these compliances who wanted to start or running in their organization. And during our discussion, it has also emerged that youth believe that it is very hectic process, and we need to spend lakh of rupees to get these 12 ATG things and things like that. So there is a lack of information with the youth regarding the compliances. Third part is communication. Youth-led organization often don't have proper communication channel, so that they can present their work and then communicate with various stakeholders like donors and their audiences. So we need to, as a youth organization, we need to enhance our communication mode so that we can present our work to various audience and donors. And fourth aspect of is partnership and collaboration. As we know, there are crores of organizations working in India and thousands of NGOs registered every day. So, and then they all are working on very similar, with similar approach and on similar problem. But when it comes to generating impact, we see very, in comparing to registered organization, we see very less impact on the ground. So we need partnered and partnership and collaborative mindset and an approach, so that organization working on similar idea can help each other to grow. So I guess this four aspect is need to enhance to, and then these are the tactics where organization can solve their issues on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhupendra sir, for bringing us aware of the four key highlights of how an NGO should be worked, starting from knowing about the basic like institutionalization of an NGO to partnering and collaborating. And as you have been like a member of Sphere India, that is also, we also provide a collaborative platform for the similar kind of mindset people to come together and work together. So with this, I would like to move on to our next panel. 1 second, let me just check whether Andrew sir has joined. Not yet. So we'll be moving on to our Anil sir only. So Anil sir, I would like to pose the next question to you. As you know, in the introduction of emergency measures and lockdown across the world have closed civic space and stopped young people from physically getting together to organize or achieve anything. But it has not specifically stopped their efforts to create change. It has just moved them online like we are doing. So what according to you would be some from your experience or what you see can be the key initiatives that have been already being undertaken by the youth during this COVID pandemic time, and how can we engage more youth digitally in the fight against the COVID? Over to you, sir.
Sure. I think this is one of the most relevant questions right now. How do we engage virtually and ensure that the penny doesn't drop in the fight against COVID-19? What, especially youth here, because they have taken this up really easily actually since the beginning of the pandemic. We are seeing a lot of fundraisers happening, a lot of people trying to mobilize resources, sharing information with people who require hospital bed. Recently, there was a lot of lack of oxygen concentrators, and we saw a lot of youth organizations coming forward, trying to help out people, telling this is where the resources are, and trying to map out those who are in need of those resources as well. So that is something that was happening digitally, virtually, and that went really well. One didn't need to go down on the ground. They were able to do this through a mere phone call, through social media posting, sharing on WhatsApp, and multiple ways. And this is how the gap between resources and those who are in need of it were, bridged basically. And many youth organizations have worked wonderfully on this. If you go to any fundraising platforms like Milap, Keto, you will find that there are so many youngsters who are raising funds, raising resources, mobilizing resources, or basically asking for help for people who require it at the hospital level or in community level as well. That is one way that we've seen the kind of change being brought virtually. The second piece, and something that we feel very strongly about at United Way Mumbai, is engagement of youth as peer health educators. Peer health educators are those people who are trained in COVID-19, who have rudimentary knowledge of COVID-19, who know what are the do's and don'ts, and these are the people also who are aware of various resources which are available at the city level where we operate in Mumbai, but necessarily it can be for rural areas as well and other cities as well. Essentially, these are youth or college youth that we are working with. We are working with around 2,000 college youth here in Mumbai. What we are doing with them is training them as peer health educators. We have tied up with NSS, and NSS already has a great structure for years now of engaging college youth in meaningful social activities. So we have tied up with NSS, we have tied up with UNICEF as well for this. And what we are doing is training around 2,500 college youth as peer health educators. The training happens for 2 hours, and basically they are given rudimentary knowledge on COVID-19. They are told about what their role is as peer health educators. They are provided information on different public hospitals, government hospitals, which are available where people can go and avail services. And then with this kind of resources, with this kind of knowledge, these peer health educators are then working for us or digitally, spreading information and spreading correct information. One of the tasks that the peer health educators or college youth that we train is that they need to verify whatever information they are posting or sharing. One thing that has happened over past 6 months is we've realized there is a lot of eruption of information being passed on, but there is nobody to verify. A family which requires an oxygen concentrator is forwarded so many contact details saying कि आपको यहाँ से concentrator मिल जाएंगे, but nobody has really verified whether that concentrator is available or not. Peer health educators do this, and this is it saves golden time for a family which is in distress. It basically gives them reliable, credible, and verified information. So our peer health educators are doing this activities as well, and this has gone a long way. We hear a lot of successful stories of people coming back and thanking and saying, you provided us reliable, relevant information. And this is what the youth who are being engaged as peer health educators are doing. And this has worked wonders for the communities that we operate in. But I don't see why this can't be scaled up across India or across the globe as well, when we think of youth as medically trained or paramedically trained peer health educators. So that is something that is happening in terms of information. The second activity that youth are right now doing that we have trained is also one-on-one health inquiry and promotion on vaccination. So these peer health educators talk about, talk to their people who stay in their residential premises. They basically pick up a phone and call them up saying, hey, have you got vaccinated? If you haven't, can I help you do registration? If you haven't, what are the reasons you haven't done that? And then they pass on correct information related to vaccination as well. And this has worked really well for us in slum communities in Mumbai, where there is evidence of vaccination hesitancy as well. So when a youth who belongs to the same community comes and talks to you, you are bound to happen to that person. There is a receptivity of that information or message is much, much higher. So these are constructive ways in which we are engaging college youth right now. And there is always a give and take as well. Youth are putting out their time, precious time, especially when we're talking about April, May, June, when we are talking about exams as well. How do we compensate them, or how do we reward them or acknowledge them? So one is definitely we work in terms of acknowledging and rewarding them in terms of providing them certificates, which help them in their college documentation as well. The second is we have a college competition, intercollegiate competition that is going on at the city level in Mumbai, and whichever college wins it, whichever college does quality participation wins the competition as well. So these are few small gamification that we have involved in this campaign. But over and above all this, the satisfaction that the trained college youth are able to make a difference in people's life, I think that is the satisfaction with which most of the college youth are working. I think these are few ways in which we are engaging them constructively.
It was very wonderful, very much insightful to hear from you on this, from your own experience on how you have been able to engage the youths, particularly in your network from the Mumbai region, from the communities, and training them to equipping themselves to be the peer educator and to also spread awareness within their community. And I'm really glad that such kind of initiatives are being taken up. And also the point which you made about verifying the informations, that is something which we should definitely take scale up across the country and also internationally, because every one of us is aware how much fake news and those data were circulated. So this is also a very important note which we are definitely going to take up. And with this, we are really glad that Andrew sir has managed to join us back. So sir was facing some technical issues. So sir, we would like to put across the first question to you, as our Anil sir was already mentioning about the involvement of youths and how we can scale up their engagement. I would like to ask you that it is very easy to admit the youth engagement is very important, and also but much more difficult to organize it in a sensible and meaningful way. Just like United Way have been using it sensibly and meaningfully. But I would like to understand from you, how can humanitarian organization or the CSR source, ensure that the engagement of youths for the engagement of better and efficient engagement of youths for the COVID-19 response. Over to you, Andrew, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to apologize for the network issue which I was having. Actually, the current went off. But from my point of view, the suggestions on how can the organization promote the youth in a better way. Last year and this year also, we had seen a lot of contribution from many young people being recognized by the chief ministers, the deputy commissioners, the district magistrates, not only in my state, but also in many other states as well. The names and contributions have been furthered on newspapers and news channels. So, this should continue as it is, so that we could give our youth the confident and maturity level to be brave enough and to be able to further in the work in the future. So space in this major in the major newspapers and tabloids are also to be reserved for the young people. Their voice, their opinions, their concerns, which can be addressed by the experts. So this is a very major, or I can say a very important thing, that such tabloids should be available for the youths. Then the mechanism to mobilize young people to spread messages of hope, concern, love, their fellow men and women. This is also a very one important aspect, I can say, that we can expect from the youth. Then the due recognition and application of innovatives that young people have come up during these times, especially in the pandemic times. Like youth, they expect something after they perform some activities, especially in the pandemic. Like, for example, some of the youth, maybe they have created an app stating that where is the oxygen cylinders available in their own states or in their own localities, maybe. Where is the sanitizing teams are available on a call, and where are the oxygen concentrators are available, so that in order to support their own state government and in order to bring up the health facility in their own state and their own locality. So also I would like to mention the mentorship program through the virtual platforms that will help them train, skill, and equip young people to take better on the COVID-19 responsibility. This COVID-19 has just started last year, and we don't know when will it end. So the youth involvement in this matter is very important, and it's very necessary to educate them and to give them a space or a platform. Like I've just said, that you should encourage them, you should give them better opportunity, you should give them better platform, so that after doing certain things, they will also come in the picture, so that more involvement we can expect from them as and when we require. Because youth are the main infrastructure of the country, youth are the main infrastructure of the state, and youth are the main infrastructure that we require nowadays. So as far as the Red Cross is concerned, in the involvement in the involvement of the youth in the humanitarian organization, as far as we are concerned, the Red Cross Meghalaya, I would like to share something as far as I have experienced, is that last year during the pandemic, we had organized a blood donation camp, basically from the youth. So we had stressed that the youth should come up and help people during the pandemic. Of course, it is a very difficult and tough time for the youth, or for everyone in general, coming from their own houses to donate blood, especially when this COVID-19 was a very, very new infection, we can say. But then the youth by God's grace, the youth came out. The youth came out and donated their blood, because as per the appeal, we are running short of blood. But then we are very thankful to the youth, especially in collaboration with the Bharat Scout and Guides Meghalaya branch. We had organized a blood donation camp in order to facilitate more blood donation, and many young people did come forward to help the organization and to help the state as well. So what can we do more is that we should recognize the power of the youth and use it by allocating funds toward youth involvement in promotion of vaccines, a healthy lifestyle, messages of hope and well-being, and so on. And then we should develop also a mentorship program for the youth to better help with the safe self-confidence in initiating the COVID-19 assistance and reform. Without them, I would like to say that it will be very difficult, because at the end of the day, if you catch hold of a youth, then everything will be possible, because they don't care of any platform. They don't care of, if I am wrong, they don't care. They will directly say that I am wrong, because they don't fear anyone and they have nothing to lose. But what I mean to say is, if you catch them and if you give them that good infrastructure, they will definitely help everyone in times of crisis. So youth are like that, if you treat them well, they will be very happy and they will do everything. But then if you misuse them, and on top of that, if you don't give them the facility, they will not care of anyone, but they will just jump onto you. So that is the main thing, that we should develop something for them. And then we should also value the help of the youth in the instances like volunteering in the form of reward and incentives, if possible. Or if it is not possible, also I may say that we should have that kind of uh, uh, kind of platform that we can always admire them, or we can always uh, tell the people or tell the world that the youth have been the major help that we have received in times of pandemic or in times of crisis. So the last thing is, I want to say that we should have more young people in our team, as they can bring in dynamic and creative forms of thinking to our own ways in approaching aid to the humanity. So these are small facts that I have been noticing in my own state, and I would also like to put on my suggestions to each and every one of us, that we should we should give importance to the youth, and we should also make them understand and realize that without them we are nothing. We really need them, especially in times of crisis and pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew sir. So it is very true that youths need a mentorship guidance, and if we tell them and guide them properly and train them and also provide them better opportunities, they can be really an asset to our community response, COVID response, or to, for that matter, any response or rescue activities. With this, I would like to move on to our next panelist, Srimati Jyoti ma'am. Ma'am, as we heard about how youths can be engaged more, we also are aware about the national youth volunteering programs and the strategies that allocate clear responsibility, which provides capacity building opportunities as well as adequate financial resources, which can help in keeping youths mobilized for their communities. I would like to know from you that how can we, how can the existing national youth volunteer programs be leveraged or have been leveraged for the COVID-19 response? How can the capacities be further enhanced? Jyoti ma'am?
Yes, Siljo.
Yes.
Siljo, let me talk about the youth movement in the rural belt, because that is where my experience lies. Okay, so in the rural and tribal belts, like you have two major CBOs working. One is the NYK youth clubs, and the other one is the self-help groups. The women and the young women and the young boys of these two organizations are doing women's work in their villages. But when it comes to support, Okay, I'll come to that later. Now, first is what can the government do to leverage, or what has it done to leverage the capacity and to leverage these youth groups? Look, first and foremost, like for example, when it comes to an SHG, they are trained, and the government at least recognizes their existence. But when it comes to NYKS, being a central government body with a huge network, with a very huge network, state governments that, because it recognizes NYK, the district NYK, but it doesn't give a proper status to the youth clubs organized or set up by the district NYK. In some districts, it all depends on the district magistrate. If the DM finds it convenient and he is enthusiastic, he comes and he tries to involve youth clubs into in all the developmental works. But if the DM isn't interested in all this, he just ignores the youth clubs. So it is left to the whims and fancies of the district authority. Instead, I think there should be some coordination between the state government and the central government, and both these organizations should be recognized, and their services should be well utilized along with NGOs. So first thing is every district administration should have a directory of people working in this field of youth, or a directory of youth groups who are ready to work in the field of disaster management. So at least seeing the amount of work that they have voluntarily done with or without training, I think it's time for all the state governments and the district administrations to sit up and take note of the youth groups that is working in the field. One. The second thing is, we should also, then the district administration, with the help of the state government and the central government, should plan something and impart proper training and equip the youth for proper disaster management techniques. Alongside the youth, they should also be trained in other activities like village survey, social mapping, social audit, etc. This will help during disasters and also post disaster. The disaster management training, for example, NYKS conducted several trainings all over the country, but they selected just one district from each state on a pilot level, and it was National Disaster Preparedness Force who imparted the training. So instead of one unit imparting the training, I wonder why these districts cannot impart the trainings to our youth and reach out to a larger number of youth, so that we have a bigger team, a disaster management team in each district. And it should not be a one-time training. The training should also involve soft skills. And we should have orientation courses, maybe biannual, but if you want to sustain their interest and keep them together, such 1 day or 2 day orientations are very much necessary. The next thing which I would like to stress here is volunteerism cannot live on an empty stomach. Hence, these youth volunteers should be considered or given preference for skill training, which are conducted by the government, by the local administration at taluka level, because these children cannot leave their daily wages or farm labor and come all the way to the district to undergo training. So something for their livelihood also should be done. And even when it comes to, okay, this I think running short of time, I would like to tell here, this is an oft repeated sentence, I mean, statements like, y'all are volunteers, volunteers don't work for money. Look at our freedom fighters. I've heard quite a few very free, Bharat kaise hua. I think we should stop making martyrs of our volunteers. They are volunteers who have volunteered their time, knowledge, energy for the purpose at hand. A little honorarium or TA is not going to hurt. Recognition in the form of certificate, as Mr. Parmar said, or placing them a notch higher than the other for jobs for which they are eligible will go a long way in strengthening or boosting the volunteers. Regular meetings with disaster management cell or district administration is also good, and giving them short-term goals, not just for disaster, will also sustain their interest in community work. Um, Look, India is the youngest country today, and actually, we are losing precious years of our golden period. So, let us twist this difficult period or this disastrous period into an opportunity. Let us turn it into an opportunity by training, equipping, and empowering our youth, our young people, today for disaster management. But this very training is going to equip them for better and bigger tasks in future. Thank you.
It was really wonderful to hear from you, ma'am, and for all the for sharing the informations about how NYK and SHGs have been working in the rural and the community level, to be specific, and the importance of district level groups and their trainings, including the soft skills, having regular meetings with them. So thank you so much, ma'am, for all these informations. And with this, I would like to move back to Bhupendra sir. Mr. Bhupendra, I would like to ask you that we have been hearing all throughout the session about the different kind of activities youths have been indulged in. I would like to know from you that what is the spectrum of activities carried out in the digital as well as non-digital space by youths as entrepreneurs, volunteers, leaders, or students for the COVID-19 response?
So I guess every one of us are aware of different kind of activities conducted by the youth. And then Parmar sir and then Jyoti ma'am and other panelists also mentioned few activities. There are many examples and many initiatives worldwide and throughout the India where youth has engaged not just in giving supplies of medicine and ration, but I can see different kind of work youth is doing. Few if I can say, youth is involved in research, data analysis, and then design thinking. They are designing new ways of and innovating new ways of service. Like if to give an example, there is a group of from Delhi who have created a live Excel sheet where they can track availability of beds and oxygen need in the center in Delhi cities. There is another group who has created ambulance on the bike so that they can reach out to hilly places. I remember one of the examples from last year where our group has reached out to 700 tribal families by creating just Google form and their network and track down the needs of these families. It was not possible. If I could talk about few years ago, like 5 years ago, it was not possible without the internet and so ease of having devices in the hand. There are various, like if you have also witnessed there are hundreds of mental health initiatives taken by the youth to reach out. Not only mental health, there are talk series like this is also one of the program started in the COVID era. Beside that, there are I was part of listening circle, I was part of sharing circle, I was part of webinars, and so different things has happened. And then I can also quote one of my friend from Jharkhand. When during the first lockdown, he feel the need of sanitary pads to the girls in living in the remote and hilly area, and he himself become a padman, and he drive to 70-80 kilometers daily and started delivering pads free to these girls.
So there are n numbers of examples we have seen, and I guess this is because of the technology. The non-technological intervention is also because of the technology, because we have tracked the needs through the technology. With the available information, we have gathered so much information and generated insights and design new ways to implement these ideas. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Upendra, for sharing us with the past experiences which we have had during the COVID response. And also, you have rightly mentioned that if it would have been like 5 years back, nothing would kind of these things would have been possible. With the technology, definitely our youths are trying to make the best use of it. And with this, I would like
Also,
yes,
sorry,
sir.
can I add one more thing?
Sure, definitely.
I'm also seeing a pattern in youth, current generation of youth. Like I'm also young, you are also part of the current generation. We are more ethical. We are raising the voice against unethical practices. We are value driven and wanted to reach out to unreached, who have not have so many, like to underprivileged people and to marginalized. So this is also one of the important reason to flourish youth initiatives across the globe.
So it is like many important points are being covered, and it's getting really hard for me to note it down. So sorry for that. I would like to post a general question, and specifically Mr. Anil sir probably can take it up, and would be an open question, and others can also add in their insights. So sir, as we see young people as a serious group of the population, we have to go beyond engaging them only, not only in the matters that those in powers are either unwilling or uninterested in working on, such as volunteer community and such activities, deep prioritized by the government. How can we find ways of opening doors for meaningful youth participation as leaders, influencers, social service providers, or maybe in that case researchers and peer educators, as you mentioned, in politics, business, civic activism at various level, including the pandemic response? And I think even Jyoti ma'am would be able to like add her insights as well. Starting from you, Anil sir.
Sure. I think something that hit me right, was when Jyoti ma'am said that let's not make martyrs out of our volunteers. So when we are engaging volunteers, when we engage youth, they are not volunteers essentially. We need to engage them as partners, and that's where the answer lies actually to this question. Is when we design a project, when we are doing program designing or project designing, that's where we should consider them as partners or a stakeholder rather than a mere volunteer going on the ground. One of the projects that we do, and because we are based out of Mumbai, I have a lot of examples there. Is the Youth Against COVID-19, the digital COVID warrior campaign that we are doing currently, places the college youth at the center of the campaign. They are the ones who decide, and we have we are coordinating this with the Public Health Department of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai here, and the college youth are the ones who decide how the campaign will be run, how the most participative college youth will be recognized, and all that, and so on and so forth. All this detailing is done by college youth themselves. So there is a lot of decision making that comes on them, and that is something that enables them to interact with the public health department here. What it in turn does is gives them a seat at the table and shape the project or the campaign the way they would want to shape it, and the way it is feasible for them. And I think what I'm super happy about when I talk about this is that they are running with the campaign. United Way Mumbai probably may not be required after a couple of months down the line. Probably they wouldn't even require our financial support to undertake this campaign, because they are running this parallelly with the public health department, with the government stakeholders themselves. So I think the answer would be to engage them in program designing at the start of the campaign, and not look at them as volunteers, but rather look at them as stakeholders.
Thank you so much, sir. Jyoti ma'am, would you like to compliment this? For anyone, it's like open one.
Yeah, actually, as I had mentioned earlier, involvement of youth must be from the planning to the execution. to the implementation. In fact, youth should be involved even in identifying the problem. But because we are already concentrating, when we are focusing on disaster management, as I had earlier mentioned, they should be partners. They should be a part of the whole process, right from planning up to implementation. But unfortunately, it's not every organization who can really do this. So, in an organization where you're working, where you're especially a government organization, you have some restrictions. But nobody stops you from experimenting, and nobody stops you from working a little out of the box. We have done this in Swachhata Abhiyan, where the youth planned everything. Youth were trained as masons by us, and with the help of Zilla Parishad, youth were trained as masons by us. And then the next thing was like, if you want to work as masons, construct the latrines in the village, you have to first educate the villagers and make them also partners, willing partners in this whole process. So, the youth had something to look forward to, right from planning their awareness programs, their awareness campaign, up to constructing, I mean, taking their involvement, garnering their involvement in the people's involvement in the whole Swachhata Abhiyan, to constructing the latrines and making them use the latrines. It was all through a youth program. So that is what really is going to work in, be it disaster management, be it Swachhata Abhiyan, be it any other developmental work, even microplanning. I mean, microplanning is a area where we are working in, and the youth are conducting organizing the whole program. They go through the whole process, they lead the process, and then they implement different activities in the village. But as I said, it's not every, and this I have faced. I mean, I personally have faced where they keep saying volunteers hai, volunteers ko paise ke piche nahi bhagna chahiye. So this is something which I abhor, and I have always voiced against it too. But as Mr. Parmar said, yes, until and unless youth become stakeholders in this whole process of development, we are not going to progress much. And that's the first step to involve youth. Make them stakeholders, make them partners in development. Thank you.
Also, to add what Anil sir said and Jyoti ma'am said, I believe there are lots of opportunity available in India for the youth, in India and worldwide. But the information of these opportunities are not with the youth, especially who are living in remote areas and in the village area. There are various fellowships available. Whenever I interact with the youth and I ask, do you know any fellowship their program, the question started, what is fellowship? So I think we need to also ease this process and make this content available in local languages, and create some awareness program where youth can join this fellowship and an internship available wherever, so that they can train themselves and contribute in a bigger sector. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, dissemination of information to the last person is the key for, which will bring about all these changes. Definitely.
Very rightly stated, Bhupendra sir, like knowing and creating awareness about this volunteerism, internships, and this fellowships. I myself joined Sphere India as a fellow, DGRR fellow, and I was in Meghalaya. And at that time also we had like this capacity building initiatives wherein we made sure that all the modules which we are having right now, we translate it into the local dialect. There in Meghalaya, he translated into Khasi and Garo. Probably our sir would be knowing about this, Andrew sir would be knowing about this. So yeah, so these kind of initiatives are very much required in the current phase. And Bhupendra sir, as you were already mentioning about various opportunities available, but they are not understanding. I would like to ask you one more thing, that while there is a golden opportunity for youth voices to be heard louder than before, digital participation will unfortunately still be a barrier for some, such as like many marginalized young people don't have access to digital infrastructure for participation. how can we ensure such access and productive usage of technology, especially within the younger generation in our country? And Andrew sir would also be able to, I think he left in between. Yeah, Andrew sir is there. So Andrew sir, coming from Meghalaya, knows how much it is difficult for the people over there to access the technology. So maybe you can also contribute in this. Over to you guys. Bhupendra sir first.
Yeah. So I guess question doesn't start from here. The youth is not participating. Youth is not handling technology. The question starts from I know there are villages. There is still internet is not restored, or they don't have any, even they don't have electricity. There are villages in India, and how like they can have access of this all the technologies. So questions start from there. Second question, I believe that lots of program happening on a building skills of the youth, but I guess we need to also develop a program building competencies, so that I see like we don't need to make them dependent. You need to look at here or there, or go there for a job and thing. We need to build their competence so that they can find their solution at their own end. So this is systemic questions, systemic issue, having an equitable platform to access technology, and then developing their own competencies, so that they can't be dependent on others. Andrew sir can add.
See, I was a victim of the network problem when I joined the session. The current went off, and then I had a lot of problems. Then somehow got connected with the mobile. So I don't know, just mobile data also, how long would it last? So see, I am living in Shillong city. I'm facing this kind of problem frequently, and especially the youth or the people residing in the outskirts or in the villages. They will not even understand what is internet, because they will not even understand what is 4G or 3G. Since even the simple mobile, if we go to a village or an outskirt, it is so difficult for us to get a network. First of all, a simple network, just to say hi, hello to our friends, or maybe dialing an emergency number, or to SMS people. So the main problem we are facing now is the network issue. So when we say that we will catch hold of the youth via all these online techniques, I personally feel that it is so difficult. We will have to go to the field. We will have to catch hold of them. We will have to train them physically, and then we will have to make them understand that, okay, somehow you try to be on another side, like online and all that. But the main concern we are facing is that the network issue. So we are doing our best. To reach out the youth, to reach out our volunteers, or to reach out the people in distress or whatever. We are trying our best to go physically as we could go, and then the online is a second option for us, because we as a volunteer, we as a community, we try to reach out people physically, because we understand the challenges that the youth, especially in the rural areas, are facing nowadays. So even now during this lockdown, there are so many complaints that the internet is not proper, or the internet is not working. And with these online classes, and with these online meetings and online discussions, so there are some places that we find a lot of difficulty. If we hear about online, that's it. It's like, wow, online. Will I get a network? So yesterday I was having a word also. So they were asking me to circulate this message to the volunteers, but some of the volunteers, they left for their own hometown because of the lockdown. So it's also difficult for them to attend. And the main challenge is that only. But we hope that in the future we will not be needing this online discussion frequently, and we hope that this pandemic will go away from us at the earliest, with the help of the youth, of course. And we also trust our youth. There are some youth who is doing all these advertisement or video in the TikTok or the reels, etc. How to wash your hands, how to use your face mask, how to use sanitizer, and the benefits that we get from all those types. So I hope these small messages will reach our people of the state, the people of the country, through our youth involvement. And I hope that if everyone follows this pandemic will end very soon, and we will be able to meet physically, not virtually, in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew sir, for supplementing that. With this, we would like to come to our next phase of the panel discussion, which is an open platform, open discussion time. So we can have questions from all the participants who have joined us. So whosoever wants to ask anything, put across any questions directly to the panelists or a general one, it is the time for you guys. You can either raise your hands. There's an option to raise hands in the reaction side. You can go do that, or else share your questions in the chat box. So meanwhile, we get the questions from there. We got some questions I could see in the chat box. Yeah, so there was one question which is to the, like, these days NGOs have become competitive, so how does it help in collaborating with the youth-based NGOs? Is there anyone who would like to? It was specifically for Bhupendra sir, but anyone can compliment in this.
Okay, can I go?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so as I said earlier, it's a mindset thing. We need to, like, everywhere, every NGOs and business use term competitor. I believe there is no competition in development sector. There should be a other player who can help each other, be partner and collaborator. We need to redefine this competitor stage. We need to see that how we can complement each other in their work, and how can we create a win-win situation. If you find a platform where the both organization and the all stakeholders have a win-win situation, then I think this collaborative initiative will generate a better impact. So we need to, like, shift from a partner competitor to a partner approach, as I said earlier during the discussion. You were on mute, Cyclo. You can.
Oh, shit, I'm so sorry. Thank you. So I was just asking that, is there anyone else from our panelists who would like to compliment what Bhupendra sir has said, like how we can have a better collaboration with the like the youth-based NGOs or the volunteer groups? Anyone else?
See, yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Andrew sir, you are audible. You are on mute right now, sir. You're on mute. Andrew sir, you have gone mute. Trying to speak.
Okay.
Yes. Now it's fine. Please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. My opinion is that we should not compete, especially in times of pandemic, where everyone is facing a lot of problems, and we want suggestions from the youth, or we expect any suggestions from them, and if it's a good suggestion, then we take that. So the best thing is we should not compete, but we will work together hand in hand. If it's for a positive comment, we will take it in a positively. If it's a negative comment, then we will try to make that negative comment into a positive thing, because nowadays I've seen that negative report is better than a positive report. We go for a COVID testing, we all expect a negative report to be on a positive side rather than to get a positive report to be on a negative side. So I feel that we should not compete, but we'll work together.
Very well quoted, sir. So as you already mentioned, if there is any volunteer from our participants who would like to share their views on how you can contribute much, your ideas, we are all willing to hear from you. And also any other questions, queries, anything, it is the time for you guys. We already have got one raised hand. So I would like to unmute you, DG Pondekar, would like to unmute you. You would be getting a pop-up. Yes, please share what you want.
Yeah, I am DG Pondekar.
Yes.
As Andrew, no, so somebody said that there is a competition. I think it was the question from some participants. There is a competition among NGO. See, NGO, the meaning itself says where government can't reach, NGO reach. That is a basic concept. And frankly speaking, I have worked with many NGOs in some different capacity. And I understand, I experience that each NGO is having some area of specialization. For example, as the representative is there, I will take the name United Way. It's working in 4 or 5 areas. But there are many many NGOs which are working in different areas. And what is the purpose? To give the benefit to the community. For example, some of the NGO, as Bhupendra is doing, some of the NGO are giving training of disaster preparedness. Now, instead of getting diversified, specialization is necessary. Because if our one of the purpose is to give benefit to the community, going to a grassroots level and training them. This is number one. This is initial effort. After training, feedback and practice. For example, if I do the training of disaster preparedness 5 years before, today it is 0. Unless I practice what is called as mock drills or tabletop exercises, it will be 0. If today I am going to face some problem, it is not going to help. So the NGO has to give that understanding to the community. Community means actually youth, because the youth is the section is to be specialized or rather imbibe, focused. So once they understand, then automatically they will come together. So in a village, for example, I remember, I understand in the beginning, it was in Ratnagiri district or in Thane district, the village level youth organizations were designed and those were formed. And those youth were taking care of their village only. Those were not going beyond village. But all the difficulties in the village, they were taking care. But that effort may not be persistent. Was not persistent rather. So that revitalization is necessary. Second important thing is, it is not just training. For example, in a coastal area, it may be the east coast of India or maybe the west coast of India, cyclones are on rise. And that we have to accept. Though then we may say about climate change, whatever the term we use, it is different. But the cyclones are on rise and the cyclones are making a loss. So whenever there is an impact of cyclone, do we have adequate equipments to address them? So unless those equipments, say for example, if the tree collapse on the house and the house comprise people as well as animals, pets, so how to rescue them? So in that matter, the sufficient equipments are needed. So that's why I have commented all these things we are doing. It is pertain to urban area. The communication. It is pertain to urban area. In rural area, as Mr. Andrew rightly said, it is not available. That kind of the kind of quality, the kind of intactness, it is not available. So taking into consideration the rural area, so our design for the rural should be different, our design for the urban should be different. So that way, if you go, it is possible. Say for example, and another thing is I want to mention in 1 minute, I'll complete. I want to mention that we need to go to the source of a problem. I'll tell you here regarding this COVID situation. It was the last, maybe the 14th or 15th March 2020. I have worked last in the community. I was doing only one awareness, and that was mask. Nothing else. No distance, because in a city like Bombay, Mumbai, distance is not possible. We have to accept it. And then we have to go to the root of a problem. What is the root of a problem? To protect the three parts, eye, nasal, and mouth. So, appropriate mask, appropriate wearing. When I say appropriate mask, it is not a piece of cloth. It is a 3-layer. I'm using daily till date. So everybody says that now COVID is gone. In between said, I said it is okay. It is going to return. It is a cyclic thing, recurring. Because if you understand concept of virus better, then we'll understand it is recurring. And that is a concept of the recurring. There is a concept I forgot. So again, it is going to come. So we have to prepare. Even today, I'm having mask. It is a stitch mask, 3 cloth, 3-layer stitching, and that I'm using. So what we need to go, we have to go to the root of a problem, request every individual to wear the mask, because still there are many such dogma, and that we have to reduce that dogma. So if
yes, Pondekar sir, you have very
remaining
well
things are easy.
yes.
I'll stop here. I think I have consumed too much time. I'll stop here.
Yes, sir. So it was really wonderful to listen to you, your valuable insights on understanding the root cause and reaching out to the last mile to for mitigating any issues. Due to the time constraints, we will have to move on to the next question. I could see one in the chat box. It is for specifically was mentioned for the Andrew sir, as per you are sharing, which you mentioned about the blood donation camp. The participant want to know that what were the major issues or the crisis problems which you faced while organizing such a blood donation camp. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. See, I really don't know about other states, but in our state, the blood bank is empty. What I mean to say is, people, it's like a bank where you take out money every day, but you do not deposit. So that is happening in our state. Our blood bank is running short of blood. So during this pandemic, there was a very shortfall of blood in the blood bank. So we had decided from the society that we should somehow organize a blood donation camp. So from our volunteers, it's easy to get the blood, provided if they are eligible to do so, because you can't give blood every month. But the main issues or the main difficulties and the problems that we are facing is from the general public. They do not come forward to donate blood on a regular basis, or even if we request them also. Number one, the pandemic. They fear of the COVID tests, maybe. Number two is stay home, stay safe. So they like to stay home and stay safe, of course, which is also a very important thing for them to do during the COVID pandemic. But the main problem is it's so difficult to make people understand the need of blood donation. So that is only the main problem that we face, is to get people, to get the donors. Especially now we are facing more problem because some of them have been in contact with the positive patient, some of them have been vaccinated, so that time period is there. So that is this blood donation is really a tough job to organize, because there are so many things that we have to do from scratch, mobilizing the people about the blood donation. Some of them, they don't really understand. Some of them, they come to us and say, why should I donate my blood? Where will I get it back? So things like that. It's so difficult. I can't explain it because the time is also less. But we are in the field, we see all these challenges, but we don't give up. Of course, we don't give up, but we try to convince people that, after giving blood, your blood will definitely come back. You are giving your old blood, but God will give you a new blood. So like that, we try to convince them, which is also the fact actually. So we hope in the coming days, people will be aware, because we have seen that during this pandemic, so many people, especially from the rural areas, they are facing a lot of challenges to get blood. But I hope so from now onwards, they have understood the importance of donating blood, and I hope so they will come forward and help us and help the state as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew sir. With this, we are already running short of time, so I would like to just to conclude and set the to have the conclusion for the day. I would like to post a general question to all of you, and would like each one of you to share your insights on what would be the key message you would like to share with our youth volunteers and outreach workers to keep their motivation high during the COVID-19 response. Would like to go one by one, starting from Anil sir.
Sure. I just would want to just say that youth and the volunteers on the ground are partners in the fight against COVID-19, and they are the most critical stakeholder as well. And that's how we need to look at them, and that's how we need to build a perspective for them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jyoti ma'am, would you like to compliment?
The youth are the key players. So now whatever fight against COVID is left, it's in the hands of the youth. So they have to don the mantle of key players, and the government and the system has to support them in this.
So for keeping the motivation of youths high, what would you like to compliment Mr. Bhupendra?
So just one word, don't give up and keep hammering on the mountains so that you can become one day a Dasharath Manji. Just that.
Very well quoted. Andrew sir?
Yeah, youth are the, I will say youth are the most active in the global response through their activities like volunteerism, voicing out their concerns through social medias, communication, and use of their wide social network circles. Youth are also active. Youth are also generally active and are more and more happy to volunteer for people in the programs that they require. And young people also, they feel, and young people are also important when we include them. And then they are also very important to help and build their own confidence and others also as well. So youth now, youth is youth are the delegates, the delegate. So if you make them a delegate, they will surely perform their duty well and give them such important task, especially in the times like we are facing right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to summarize the entire discussion we had today. So starting from understanding that the youth should be considered as the leaders of the present and rather than of the future, to recognizing youths, channelizing them into groups, community-based organizations, and train them and to appreciate them. And we then heard about the specific approach, to have giving the youth organizations which are being set up these days, they should have a specific approach and a clear picture on what they are supposed to work on, have a clear role idea, and also that we need to in the community level, when we are going, we need to train them. The youths of the college youth should be trained as the peer health educators for supporting their peer groups and also to support their community. And we also need to encourage our younger ones, mentor them, motivate them, and also provide them better opportunities to flourish and to share their capacity, share within their capacities. And apart from that, we also understand that we need to value our younger youth volunteers by acknowledging them and by rewarding them, not just making them work. So, and also there is a need of district level groups and trainings, which should also include the soft skills. Apart from that, we have also understood that the youths of the today's era are value driven, and they have the drive to reach out to the unreached. And we have also understand that the youth should be involved in identification of the problem, planning, implementation, and follow-up. From the starting phase to the last phase, you should be involved in each of the process, like a partner, like a stakeholder, and like an overall model. And to summarize, youth should be aware of volunteerism, internship, and all such activities, so that they can have better clarity before pitching into this field. So this was the brief points which I made up. If I have missed out anything, the panelists can very well quote it down. Anything? So yeah, thank you so much. And so with this, we would like to conclude the session, and I'm extremely glad that you all could turn up today. Our panelists, even though we had we all are in a very difficult situation, all are busy, packed with the different priorities, but we all could manage up and join here. Our moderator has shared his regret for not being able to join in, but I would like to thank her for giving me the opportunity to moderate the session. And also, it was really wonderful to hear from each one of you coming from the volunteers group. Mostly all are young, and we have a Jyoti ma'am who has been working with the youngsters for all her life. So it was really wonderful to hear the youngsters' perspective on how they have been doing, how they are making the youths work for the society, and also various key points we have taken, starting from understanding their role to different plans and ideas on how they can be better stakeholders and leaders in the society for achieving or for being initiating any rescue response activity, especially during the COVID response. So with this, I would like to, in one word, thank each and every single panelist who have come out with their precious time and shared with us your knowledge and experience. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of this panel. And to all the participants who have joined us since the beginning, I would like to thank wholeheartedly thank you for being with us and for being so participative, and also for sharing your valuable insights. You can always reach back to us with all your questions. I also saw one request from Deepa Karuna. She was like, there is some volunteer groups who need to be trained. The Spare India's COVID-19 Academy is a platform wherein we provide the capacity building initiative. This is the capacity building initiative. So you are very well welcome for our academy sessions. You can also go back to our COVID Academy's YouTube channel, wherein you can see the various do's and don'ts of COVID related issues. We have been conducting this initiative since the initial phase of COVID. And also any specific request if you have, you can always write to us on COVID-19 Academy @spareindia.org.in, and we will make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. So moderator's name. So moderator's name is Siljo Abraham. I am the program associate of the Spare India. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in. And with one word, it was a great opportunity for me to have this, take up this position, and also to hear from all of you. And first time I really noted down all of the points. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
You did a great job.
Thank you, Siljo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And it was wonderful meeting all the panelists too.
Thank you.
Same here, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Stay